Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. While I'm continuing to do your new suggestions, I thought I would do another one of my beloved fearsome critters, i.e. lumberjack cryptids that I featured here within this channel. I have a separate playlist for them as well. You'll find it below, at least when it comes to this video. I love doing these because these are such curious little critters, and to this day they still baffle me as to how they basically became to existence. Obviously, there's a lot of imagination associated with them, but the idea that these things could still be out there, that there's even just a little bit of truth associated with their wild claims, that's the kind of stuff that I love here. Such is the case with this cryptid. It has a very unique name, and it apparently answers a lot of mysterious sounds that are out there through the forest. So next time you hear a sound that you can't necessarily locate, or at least use your detective skills to find out what is that sound, it could be related to this. In fact, you're looking at a picture or a representation of it here. It's known as the Treesqueek. Obviously that title, right? That's the one that definitely got me on the hook. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this Treesqueek here, and then I'd love to hear what your own thoughts are. See if maybe you've encountered inadvertently this creature as well. So what is this Treesqueek? Once again, it's a fearsome critter, i.e. a lumberjack cryptid. It's apparently something that was found way throughout the forest areas back in the frontier days when lumberjacks and others were basically going out there and then trying to do a living and then see what they can do when it came to finding things within the forest, whether it was for food or whether it was for homes and so on. Lo and behold, though, during some of their treks, during some of these lumberjacks and frontier people's adventures, they ended up running into situations where they heard noises. They had no idea where these noises were coming from, but it was definitely directed to them. And so they tried to go locate them, but they couldn't find its source. Lo and behold, that's where this Treesqueek comes to mind. Let's talk about its physical characteristics first. You take a weasel or a possum, and that's essentially what this creature is. It looks almost exactly like them. It has this hair that covers its entire body. It has a very long tail as well. It has long limbs too. So if you take one of those real world creatures and then you kind of mix it with the unique sound it makes, more on that here in just a moment, then that's where you have this Treesqueek. In fact, it uses its characteristics, like in terms of its hair and in terms of its limbs, to wrap its arms, legs, and tail around a very thick tree branch. In fact, when it does this, it's been said that the Treesqueek almost becomes invisible. That's just because of how it looks and its fur and how easily it blends into the bark of the tree itself. That's why there's so much baffled noises out there that people can't locate. It's because of this creature. You could be walking right by it and you'll never ever see it. That's how good it is when it comes to blending into the background. But let's talk about those noises that people were mentioning and why it's called the Treesqueek. So its life is like this. It's born in a nest, and then at a certain point in its life, it has to go find a home. It's out there, it's leaving its nest, and its favorite location is something that's called a school marm tree, which you're looking at here. This is a tree that apparently branches out into multiple sections upwards, but from the same trunk. And in particular, it likes to find those school marm trees that are right next to a dead fallen tree. Who knows what the dead fallen tree has to do with it? But at least when it comes to the school marm tree, it loves those because it has so many options to be able to just wrap again its limbs around one of those branches high up into the air, and then it just stays there. And then it builds its nest from that location. It is rarely ever seen on the ground. In fact, it lives its whole life pretty much up there. But when it comes into activity, when it actually starts doing things on its own, it's this. There it is, wrapped with its limbs around the tree. And on certain days, whether the wind is blowing small or it's blowing large, let's say there's a very large set of activities associated with the wind out there in the forest, that type of activity causes something to trigger with behind this critter. It causes it to start making sounds. These sounds are very, very unique because of the ranges associated with them. So it uses its mouth to make these sounds, and they could sound something like this, like when it comes to a squeaky door. It could be soft, it could be loud, and then other times he makes sounds that are reminiscent of squealing pigs. How different is that, right? A squeaky door sounds so much different than a squealing pig. And yet on other occasions, it has sounds that makes it something along the lines of gunshots. And then even then, on other occasions, it can do things involving the sound of firecrackers. So as you can see, several of those items are human related or sound human related. And if you're out there in the forest, let's say you're a lumberjack or a frontiers person, you know you're by yourself, or at least if you're in a group, you know that there's nobody else surrounding you. And then all of a sudden you start hearing firecrackers, you start hearing gunshots, you start hearing squealing pigs, stuff like that. That causes you to wonder, where in the hell is that sound coming from? But you can never ever find it. Well, it's coming from the treesqueek, hence its name. People would hear these kind of strange sounds and it almost sounds like it's squeaking, something coming from the trees themselves, and that's it. It's doing these sounds and it's doing them pretty much every day, and it loves doing them because of this reason. It's almost a little mischievous. It's almost like a creature that likes to play little jokes here and there. So whenever it notices that other lumberjacks or frontiers people are coming across its area, what it likes to do is it makes these sounds, and then it causes the people to go searching for those sounds because they're wondering what else are they going to do, right? They have to realize what is happening, what is causing those sounds, and yet it knows that it'll never find them. Like, they'll never find the source of those sounds because it blends so well. So there's that poor person walking about almost like a dummy, and the treesqueek is having the time of its life. It's secretly just laughing inward because of the mischievousness that it's associated for those transactions, and then the lumberjacks will never ever find out. They'll leave, and then the treesqueek will have the time of its life up to a certain point, and then at that point, then it's pretty much ended. So that's why the treesqueek became its own legend around that time period, because those people that would hear those strange sounds, eventually they came up with this treesqueek as it being the mythical beast slash critter that would cause these noises. What else could it be? Because they certainly couldn't find the source associated for it. Who knows? Maybe there was at least one time where someone saw something making this sound, and then that's where they gave that description, and then that's where otherwise that Treesqueek got a visual representation afterward. But that's pretty much it. That's all the information associated with this very, very unique cryptid, with this lumberjack cryptid. It's just there living its life peacefully within the trees itself, hardly ever going on the ground itself, but at the same time having a ball when it comes to making those sounds and trying to fool anyone else that's around it. By the way, it's not going to be evil. Like, it's not fooling people to the point where they're hopelessly lost and then there they are several days later dying of let's say, thirst or something else because they never found civilization. No, it's only to the point that it has a good enough laugh, and then that's it. That leaves the poor sucker to find its way somewhere or meet with its group, and then that's when it stops doing that playful thing. But otherwise, if anybody has any more info, maybe on a personal level, those of you that have been out there in the forest and happen to come across these strange sounds, you have no idea where they're coming from, well, maybe you had a treesqueek around you. Let me know in the comments below. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.